disappointing defeat of the Labour Party in the 2023 election. And since that time, you've had to contend with the fact that the ruling APC party and President Bola Tinubu are the de facto and de jure rulers of Nigeria. What impact has that had on you?
So for me, the 2023 election, there was no defeat. The Nigerian people won. And we know that Mr. Peter Obi won the presidential election, Labour Party won it. And for me, it's something of a beauty to see Nigerians who hitherto didn't bother about politics all of a sudden were interested and invested, and they were able to actually unmask what politicking is all about in Nigeria. That it's not rocket science. It's not what we thought it was, where people were afraid of politics and thought there was some kind of what did they call it now, some kind of skills or whatever that this old politicians have, that they don't really have anything. And if people come together, they can do the needful. So for me, that 2023, there was so much that was achieved.
Talk about, would you say that today the political landscape in Nigeria is much darker and much bleaker from the point of view of your political activism as an opponent of President Tinubu and the APC? After all, the APC was re-elected, and its power looks more entrenched than ever, and the Labour Party that you supported seems to be imploding.
So first of all, for me, APC was not elected. APC, they rigged their way into office. That's my own opinion. Aisha Yesufu, that's my name. And I'm not putting water in my mouth when I say it. So that's on one part. In terms of the political space, it's not bleak. It's extremely bright. Governance, yes, it's bleak. It's been bleak for like over 8 years. We've been there over the time, like over a decade. And that's why we got to where we are today. But I can tell you something. In 2018, I think, yeah, 2017, 2018, it took a lot to even tell Nigerians, we were doing the red card movement. And we were saying to Nigerians, look, there can be an option outside of APC and PDP, outside of the two main two main parties. And many people didn't believe. Many people, people thought we were crazy. We were going all around the country, speaking about this thing. Today, people have seen that it's not only an option, but it's doable and it can be done. And for me, that's a huge thing. In nation building takes, it's very slow. So it's not something that, oh, you expect that, yes, you do this and then you get in there and that's it. No, it's very slow. I mean, there are a lot of setbacks. So as far as one must do, and this is something that I constantly do, is that you must continuously look at the little wins and take them. If I look at where we used to be, where young people didn't bother about politics, where a lot of citizens weren't bothered, people didn't even understand the relationship between governance and their lives. And I look at them like, politically, yes, we've gone a long way. But in terms of governance, of course, it's bleak because it has been there for over a decade. Even when we're on the streets, those are part of the things. Governance had gone, haywire. And today where we are, there's no government in Nigeria. That's one thing. There's no government. We're just on autopilot. We're just free-flowing. Yes, there's someone who claims he's the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There's someone, but people are not feeling the impact of governance. It's not about you carrying the key, getting yourself sworn in and being at Aso Villa and being able to appoint ABCD. It's about what positive impact have you made in people's lives. If you've not made any positive impact in people's lives, come on. You can, how do they put it? It could be like paracetamol, but no fit be paracetamol. I forgot the other name, Shabe. I no one do advert for somebody.
But given all that, I mean, do you feel, given what you just said, do you feel lost in terms of what's next for you politically?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm not lost. I know what for me, it's the next step. See, I am one person who, before I do something, I really think about it and I look at all the commitment that it's needed. And when I commit to something, I go on. I never, even as a child, even as a young person, I never focus on the result. What I focus on is on my effort. What am I doing? Yes, the result might have gone not the way that it was supposed to be, not the way. But what am I doing? That's what is most important for me. And so that's what I'm still focusing on. Today, I believe that we need to have a lot of people in politics. This whole issue where people sit back and say that, oh, they're not doing politics, they don't want to do politics, it hasn't served Nigeria in any way. Nature abhors vacuum. And if you allow, if there's a vacuum, charlatans will go in there, they will occupy the space. First of all, we need people with second jobs in politics. Politics should not be people's primary jobs. That's one of the problems that we have here. We need people with competence, character, capacity running for offices. We need people being part of politics. And even if you're not running for office, you could be a party member, you could be one of the delegates, you could be someone who is going to be a party agent. There are so many things that you could do within that political space. And so it's very important for us to begin to do that. The legislative arm of government, I keep saying it, is the bedrock of democracy. The legislative arm of government is more powerful than the executive. The only thing is that the executive controls the pulse of the nation. So what are we doing to send people to the legislative arm of government? Today, election in Nigeria is very expensive. It's not about whether bribing or doing anything. Just doing the normal things you're supposed to do. Election is quite expensive, and not a lot of people have that money. Even if they have that money, you can't expect someone to bring their own personal money and use it to run for office. Then it's no longer politics. It's now business. When they get in there, they're going to get their monies back, and they're also going to get monies that they will use for the next election. So we as a people, we must put our monies where our votes are. We must begin to say to ourselves, what are we going to do? I've said this before. If 1 million Nigerians decide to give 1,000 naira every month, put it together in a common purse, we will have 1 billion naira every month. 12 months, in a year, that will be 12 billion. In 4 years, that will be 48 billion. 48 billion can help in putting the monies needed for election to be able to send a substantial amount of people to the National Assembly and the state houses of assembly. These are the people that will make the laws. They make laws, they have oversight function, they ratify treaties. Even when there's appointment, they confirm appointments so that they will make laws that are pro-people, not laws that are just, for regime protection.
That's a very interesting idea. And are you still an active member of the Labour Party?
I've never been a member of the Labour Party. So I am a supporter of Mr. Peter Obi, and there are candidates of us that have come out.
So you had nothing really to do with the Labour Party? I mean,
well, I've supported some of their candidates, but I've never been a member. Up till now, I've not yet been a member of a party, but anytime that I am, definitely to be made public. It's part of the things that I also need to do, and a lot of Nigerians need to do, because at the end of the day, the parties, there are no internal democracies in these parties, and these parties are the ones that give us the people that will govern us. We need to have people in the parties, all the parties that are out there, whether there are new ones or whatever. We need to have people that would ensure that the best are the ones that are fielded, not the worst.
You were willing to work within the machinery of the Labour Party because Peter Obi was the presidential candidate, so you couldn't have supported him in isolation from the Labour Party.
So when you say I don't know whether it's really within the machinery, because I was his supporter. I worked with him. So I wasn't really in the machinery of but of course, because Peter Obi was running under Labour, yes, I did support Labour and other candidates whom I felt, their competence, they had the competence, character, capacity to lead. Like even the 2023 election, I remember in Enugu State, I supported Frank Weke Jr., who was running under ABGA. For me, it's always been, I've always said it, I think in the last 5, 6, 7 years, I've always said that for me, it's more about candidates rather than the parties. Because at the end of the day, we need people that will really go in there and work. But what we've seen is that there's no incentive for the parties that we have right now, for them to give us credible candidates. They would rather bring in candidates that they can control, candidates that they know corruption would be nothing to them. They'll be ready to partake in that. Those with integrity, those that will not partake in the corruption and all of that, they usually don't bring them. And the way it is, because of the rigging that normally would happen, they just feel that the people are powerless. Initially, we used to have citizens not bothered about the election. They don't come out to vote. Of course, when citizens don't come out to vote, it makes it easy for them, you know, to just declare the people that vote them, they get declared as winners. But now that citizens are coming out and they are coming out with rigging, we as citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria need to find a way to mitigate the rigging, to mitigate the violence, and ensure that the will of the people is what counts. It doesn't matter who the people vote for. It's democracy. Just allow the will. If the people decide that they're going to vote a stone, so be it. Let the stone be the person in charge.
But I'm wondering who you blame for the crisis that's engulfed the Labour Party today, because obviously, by extension, you had affiliations with the party, because someone has suggested that it is as a result of, or some people have suggested that it's as a result of infiltration from the ruling APC party. Others have suggested that without the active leadership of Peter Obi and the support of the likes of you, being in the Labour Party is like swimming in a river full of hungry crocodiles who call themselves politicians. I mean, I wonder what your thoughts are on that.
Well, for me, so I'm trying to look at it and look at where it's all of that coming from. It's when they say infiltration, I mean, that's normal. Everybody infiltrates. It's part. You send some people who are loyal to you to certain parties or whatever.
To disrupt things.
Well, whether to disrupt or to know, to have an ear on the ground and know what is happening and be able to spy on the other one. Sometimes these are some of the things, you know, that happen. So that should not be a reason why anybody should say that that's why, whether there are crises or no crisis. But I think, and also when we look at people who always say Mr. Peter Obi should have taken charge of the party and done all of that, do we really want democracy? If we want democracy, democracy has to start from parties, internal party democracy. What we are used to in Nigeria is the fact that there's one person who controls the machinery of the party. So hijacks the party, owns it, puts all the money out there, makes all the decision. And that was what, you know, people are also expecting of Mr. Peter Obi. I was also on his case. And I was like, you know, repeated, like I said, no, you need to. Then, you know, it dawned on me. And when we kept having our conversation, I'm like, okay, we are doing the same thing where we want a dictator to be in charge of the party and hold the party and make them by force be online rather than allowing democracy to happen. The thing is that Mr. Peter Obi is a member, he's a card-carrying member of Labour Party. He's not a member of the NWC. He's not a party official. So he's really just one person amongst other people there. So expecting that, oh, he is the one, expecting him to come and do that is the same kind of politics. Then by the time he gets there, just like we've seen in other places where one person will be the one to buy form for everybody, campaign, put whoever it is that he wants there and say, oh, people should vote for that person. I mean, that's not what we are looking for. So hopefully this is like a storming situation for Labour Party. Labour Party should understand that they were nowhere before Peter Obi came to the party and before Nigerians decided to support the party and Mr. Peter Obi. If they begin to feel like they want to chill with the big boys, you understand, they want to bam. In no time, they will start running kitty, they will start running kata. So it's better for them to understand that, you know, citizens want democracy. No, they just don't want to be affiliated to parties and just continue business as usual. They want to see a difference, and it is time for them also to begin to give that difference in terms of right from leadership, in terms of internal democracy, in terms of opening up and getting people. I mean, by now, the Labour Party should have at least nothing less than 15 million members. What's happening?
They could have built on the
built on it. Not instead of them thinking, they shouldn't think small. They should think big. They shouldn't think, oh, what is it? Something like territory protection and all of that. That's not what it is about. It's about the bigger picture. It's about what is best for Nigeria. It's about who are the best hands that will do the work that needs to be done.
Right, but beyond the Labour Party in particular, do you think that opposition politicians in general are right now failing the people of Nigeria who face so many economic and social problems?
Oh, they've been failing since 1900. There hasn't been any opposition in Nigeria since 2015. And even up to now, there's no opposition.
Yeah, but Peter Obi is part of that opposition.
Yes, no, the party isn't doing anything. The party that Mr. Peter Obi is part of, he's really not playing opposition. It's just there. I don't know what they're doing. But Mr. Peter Obi himself Right, and he is playing the opposition. So
Right.
he's literally almost as if he's that lone voice who is, playing that opposition within the political space. But the party that he belongs to, no, they haven't played opposition at all. They failed Nigerians, absolutely. And it was the fact that opposition had failed Nigeria. That was why Nigerians were looking for an alternative. And they went on with Labour Party, and we expect Nigerians expecting
the
that
Labour Party has failed them as well.
No, they have failed. There's not two ways about it. We can't see red and call it black. They have failed. They haven't done what that was expected of them. There is more that they can do, because right now, with the suffering that is happening, with the fact that insecurity, people are being killed left, right, and center. Nothing, not a word, nothing. People are suffering. People can't feed themselves. Is it yesterday there was a report? Amnesty International has a report of a young man. I can't remember which of the states, whether it's Borno or something, who stole some noodle, and then police, he was arrested. Police beat him to death, and he died in the hospital and all of that. People are hungry. People are going through so much. Where is the opposition? They're supposed to be the voices of the people. One of the things I always say to people is that, because I see a lot of people like, oh, Aisha, you used to do advocacy. Why are you doing politics? I say advocacy, activism, and politics are the same thing. They are supposed to be for the greater good. The only difference is the approach. Where the advocates and activists, we point out what the problems are. The politicians are supposed to solve those problems. So right now, the opposition, they have failed. They're just waiting for the years to roll by, and then in the next 4 years, they will not start, or is it 3 years now? They now start telling citizens to come out and vote for them. It's not just about democracy. Is not just about electioneering. It's about dividends of democracy and ensuring that the lives of the people are better. Right now, where are the policies? We have policies that are crazy. I mean, Naira went from where to where to where, and I remember people insulting me, abusing me because I said, "Hold your dollars, closer." Right now, even at the moment, at the time where they brought in their kangaroo, policies and decided that they were going to force the Naira to be strong. What happened? You cannot govern with propaganda. That is not it. And some of the questions that I ask people, I say, look, okay, fine, the Naira, it was almost 2,000, Naira to $1. It's coming down now. What is it that was done? Is it that Nigeria have stopped importing crude petroleum products? Is it that we are now exporting more crude oil? Is it that we are now manufacturing more things and selling? Is it that our politicians are no longer going outside to go and buy vehicles and all of that? I can't remember. There's a particular, I think it's customs, that it was reported that they're going to use how many billions to go and buy vehicles, Toyota vehicles.
Well, let me just
Meanwhile,
ask you,
we're here.
do you see there's a lot of talk about mega mergers and political parties coming together. Do you see the opposition parties working together to create a new political movement that can take on the APC in 2027?
Well, honestly, to be, in my candid opinion, I really don't know. I really don't know. It could go either way. They could decide that they're going to work together. But for me, the thing is that it's not really just about having a merger. So I was one person who in 2015 knew the government, the then government had failed, and there needed to be a change. And I felt, and I remember a lot of my tweets, I mean, they are still out there for anyone to search, where I kept saying that, look, Nigerians, we are the ones that have to ensure that we are holding these politicians accountable. Bring in anyone. If they don't do well, vote them out. But unfortunately, Nigerians voted and then went back to go and sleep. And because one of the things that we fail to do a lot of times is to hold people in offices accountable. The demand side of government, as citizens, we've not been able to do that a lot. So it's left to a few people. And I always say that Nigeria needs more active citizens and not more activists. Everybody has to, do that demand side of government. So if it's not about they coming together to just win elections, first of all, they need to reform. And I've not seen any of these parties doing that. They need to rejig their party machinery, their internal democracy.
But if Peter Obi became the candidate for that party, would you support it?
For me, I will support Mr. Peter Obi as a person. That's why, for me, it's the candidate I'm supporting. It doesn't matter wherever party, whatever it is that he goes into. But one thing that Aisha Yesufu will not support is where if Peter Obi becomes a running mate to anybody. Nah, I'm not on that ticket. Right. I wouldn't be on that. So that's why we don't have party. There are no parties with ideologies that you say, if this party is voted in, you'll be sure that the people who come within that party have to toe a certain line, and there are certain things that they're going to do. We don't have that yet. So it's basically individuals. And so you look around and say, okay, who is this person? For me, it's about the candidates and rather not about the party. But if they were to work on, if you were to see something like, even from their constitution, begin to work on it, ensure that you have a situation. For example, I hear that thing called women leader and youth leader. What does it mean? You're telling me that by giving them youth leader, women leader, you've cut them out of everything. Instead of having youth leader, women leader, why don't you have a constitution, or parties that have constitution that say one gender cannot have more than 60% of positions. So you have, if it's female led, you can't have more than 60% or 40%, and likewise when it comes to youth and the older generation. In this way, everybody is welcome to this thing. There's there's equity. And people, there's, I'm looking for the word now, it's gone off. But, people are welcome there and they can all work together. We haven't seen that. We've not seen situations whereby party tickets, how much is it? Why are you selling party tickets for millions? I can't remember which state now. They're going to do a local government election and the chairman is supposed to pay nomination and expression of interest, everything 25 million naira. Somebody who buys tickets for 25 million naira, puts in all the expenses to get to win, there's no way it's going to give you good governance. It's a business. He's going to go there first and recoup that money and recoup what he will use for the next election. So which of these parties are giving enabling environment for people who have what it takes to lead, who have competence, character, capacity, who have the experience, but not necessarily have the money that will be able to run under those parties? So these are the fundamental things that really need to be spoken about, not just a matter of, let's come together and then be able to just win election. There's something I just want to quickly say. And I think, was it about after the 2023 election, I was asked that question and someone said, oh, Aisha, are you going to be on the streets making the mass? I'm like, who am I going to be on the streets with? There's no government. So Aisha is, because when you're on the streets and making demand, because I think you mentioned that quite a while. When you're on the streets, going to be my next question. Oh, okay. So you have taken it out of your mouth. When you're on the streets and making demand, that means you believe in government. You believe in the person who is leading the government. Well, who is leading what government? So I will not be on the street and be making demands on who.
Yeah, but nevertheless,
I'm not going to, absolutely not going to.